What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. If you're watching this here now, if you're watching it live or on the replay, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. If you know of anybody that wants to be a guest on the Weekly Dose of Dano, you can reach out to me right here on doseofdano@gmail.com, just because we're always looking for amazing people, no matter where they are in the world. We're always looking for them to come onto the show and share their positive experiences or negative experiences. And then we're going to flip that right on its head to make it a positive experience and to show everybody that you're not alone. Because when you're right here with the community of the Weekly Dose of Dano, Positivity Posse, you already know what to do when y'all hear that. But when you're part of the Positivity Posse, this is just a safe, collective group of people that are trying to, everybody throwing their positive energy so we can grow it, so that when we go into the weekend, we can impact as many people as we need to impact. Actually, I can't believe I forgot to do this. I hope everybody can hear me okay. This is my little mic that I use on the camera. I forgot to do it just because I was doing so much prep for Loren. As you guys already know, Loren, he's the man. He really is the man. So I had to make sure everything was on point today. And I actually forgot the mic. How silly of me. But there we go. You guys already know what the deal is. I love you guys so much, seriously, with all of my energy. I really do. I really mean it. So if you're watching this right now, make sure to drop a hashtag Positivity Posse. Just want to let you guys know that I can only see these comments if you're commenting on the Weekly Dose of Dano page on Facebook. I don't believe that the YouTube comments come through either, but if you're here right now, let's see. All right, I have audio, so perfect. I just want it to be crisp, clear. You know what I mean? Like a fresh $100 bill, I'm trying to get it crisp like that. So thank you for dropping the hashtag Positivity Posse. Hello, Christopher. Hello, Dominique. Everybody watching this right now. So you guys are truly amazing. Now, I don't know if you guys, how everybody is on social media, but we have to talk about this metaverse thing. I don't know what you guys think of it, but I'm not a fan. I just feel like they're trying so hard to push that an online reality is a real reality. No, what we're living in right now, what I can touch, this is reality to me, and I really don't like it. I can imagine just all the different problems that might come about from that. I can already see it now. Catfishing will be a huge thing. So somebody, let's just say, if they don't have that much of a, high self-esteem or high self-confidence, they'll go into the metaverse, create their character and what they think to be is like, a beautiful person or a beautiful character. Hey, they might even mimic, the stars. You never know, but they're going to mimic something that they think is beautiful. And then they'll talk to the other person in the metaverse. And then when it's time to meet up in real life, boom, there's a catfish right there. You'll meet the person. It's just like, hey, I thought you were supposed to be this way. And I'm not a fan of it. If you guys can help me, Loren, you're so lucky right now. I wish I could just do that again. Watch, he's dancing right there in the background, being all silly. But what I'm going to tell you guys is, if you can help me understand why the metaverse is powerful or maybe positive, please let me know in the comments. I also believe that, yes, this world is going too fast with the technology. I mean, I've seen a couple documentaries on YouTube. I've seen a couple documentaries on Netflix, and I think it's out of control. I think it's to a point where we can't control technology. It has a mind of its own. And I can refer you to a few documentaries just to show you why I think that. I always love to learn, whatever it's about. If it's learning about fishing, or if it's learning about technology, or if it's learning about cooking, literally everything. I love to learn. So please, if you have any more information on that, just let me know. Guys, the reason that I brought on Loren today is because he has the power. The tickets go on sale today. Can you give me a yes or no in the green room? So tickets officially went on sale today for April 28th, 2022 at the Stan Mansion. He's going to be hosting the Power of We Symposium. And there are a lot of great stories and great content. And seriously, I can't wait for you guys to hear about all the great things that Loren's been going. So great that I actually just threw my pen on the floor. But that's all right. So make sure you have your tissue box ready, because there are a couple stories on there that They're tear jerkers. And then there's the other side of the stories that's just truly, truly amazing. So he's going to be coming on talking about all of the great things that the power of we really has to hold. And like I said, thank you guys for being here right now. And all right, let me know about the metaverse. And I think right now it's time to bring Loren onto the show. And actually, what I usually do is I do the countdown, as you guys already know. But instead of doing a countdown for today, we're going to give you a little Power of Week promo. And by the time that is finished, Loren is going to be on the screen. So let's go. Oh, wait. I hit the wrong thing. So it says Power of Week promo and then add video clip. So my finger slipped a little bit to the video clip. But now here, Loren, stop messing with Lucy and Ethel, man. It's time to get on the show. Going on? You playing Gallagher in the middle of the show? You kidding me?
Yeah, I got one ship left. Now I have none. Thanks. Okay.
What's going on, Loren?
Gallagher game.
That's back in the day. That's actually.
I love that game. Oh man.
Do you remember Pong?
Let's go. Oh, sorry.
Do you remember Pong when that first came out?
What if I do? I know a setup when I hear one. Trying to get me to date myself. Yeah, I remember Pong. Hours and hours on a little Panasonic TV that was round. Remember that with the little ball chain coming out of it? I bet your mom remembers.
Oh, that is a shot right there. You're gonna
hear.
What? I'm just saying. You're gonna hear what you got between y'all two. That's y'all two. But Loren, thank you so much for being here today. I really do truly appreciate it, and for you to have an opportunity to fill us in on what the Power of We Symposium really is. So for somebody that has no idea what the Power of We is, how would you be able to describe it to them?
I'm kidding. Okay. I was trying to make, you guys don't understand. We have a relationship where when he's out there and I'm backstage, I'm doing all these faces trying to make him laugh. Every week when he does his show, I'm like doing that. So very good job. I didn't get you but once today. Power we. Okay. I had to bolster myself up because I know when I talk about the Power we seriously, it's very difficult for me at some point not to get a little choked up. Simply because, when you start things, you hope for the best and you trust in what is greater than for the rest. And even with that mindset, I just could have never, ever imagined how wonderful the Power We Symposium has been for us, to us, and to these kids who we celebrate. So nice to see you too, Jeanette Ramos and Lou Dano the Mano. Oh, Lord. Hey, that's kind of cool. You should. Hi, Virginia. Virginia, I was listening to your La Dolce Vita podcast with Gabriel Klingman this morning in the gym, and it was awesome. Really, really powerful. You guys check her out. Pac-Man? No, but I would play some Miss Pac-Man. That's Brian.
Man, you gotta focus. What we want to know about the Power of We?
I was reading the things. How can I not? Don't distract me. I got ADHD. You ought to know I can't. Okay, all right. The Power of We Symposium. No, the Power of We Symposium. First, let me tell you how it happened, because that will set the stage for why it is what it is. And I'm going to tell you this, and I want you guys to pay close attention for any of you who just remember, everything we do as impactors and as people who are promoting change and growth and healing in the world, no matter how you're doing it, we're the riverbed, and everything that comes through us is that water, that living water that the world is so thirsty for. And I, at the front end of the career, had gone to, I'd been on the stages with some other people at other events, and I decided, I want to try my hand at it. And someone I knew, a marketer, said, let's do something together in Las Vegas. So we did. It was known as the Authority Makers Boot Camp. And it was great because with my coaching model, our model is if you do the work, we'll provide the stages. So I immediately needed to come, fulfill my promise. So I needed a stage for not just the experience, but for the experience for the people I was coaching. And so that's where Tucker Bearden busted out and knocked him dead. And I think Tucker spoke for 3 minutes and had a 3.5-minute standing ovation. Same thing happened to Misty Lane when she was at Power We down in Atlanta. Her first keynote like that, and they just, if you go on my website under coaching, you'll see her standing like this. And that moment, just like Tucker, you'll see us going like this to Tucker, because he was just, to be there and watch that transformation, to watch that moment of legacy within that person, all the things they all went through for that moment of validation, where their spirit and their truth, their stories came through them and touched the world in the way they always hoped would be, and just never really knew if they would see it. And they did. And it changes everything. It takes one time. That's the great thing about the truth. You hear it, you see it. That's why they say you can't unsee what you've seen. You cannot unhear what you've heard. They will never have to question the power of their story again. Because when you experience that and those kids poured into them. So we went there, and that wasn't the greatest experience partnering with the marketer. So when we got on the plane, Brian and I was really kind of pissed, I'll be honest, because there was a lot of too much selling going on. And I'm going to just keep it real. There were people backstage. Y'all need to know this happens. Those that are what I refer to as event groupies. Go to all the event. They don't really check it out. They just say, woo, nothing changes in it. Well, the people, some of the people there, not all money is good money. Not all that glitters is gold. Mm-hmm. And there were people that were up on those stages, and people are adoringly looking at from the seats and this and the other. And they're backstage with their phones saying things like, well, I already talked to her. I pre-qualified her. She don't have any money. She's broke. She ain't got a pot to piss in. Don't waste your time. And I couldn't believe it. It was like worse than being at a kettle drive or something.
Well, this is at your event.
At my event, because it was not right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And I mean, I partnered, so I didn't know what to expect. And it just left such a bitter taste in my mouth. I'll never forget. We got on the airplane, and I looked at Brian. I said, I'm going under my headset, and I'm not coming out until we get home. I'm asking God to give me a mouthful of spiritual Listerine right now, because I need to get this nasty taste out of my mouth. And by the time the wheels touched down in O'Hare in Chicago, I promise you, I whipped off those headphones and I looked at Brian and I said, I think they gave it to me. And he goes, what? I said, well, it's a thing. It's going to be called the Power of We Symposium. And about 2 days later, I went downtown Chicago and had checked out, found the Stan Mansion online, went down there, met with my wonderful friend today, Chera Stan, and took it off the books for our first date that year. I think it was April 21st that year. And the rest is history. Last one was in 19. We were in Atlanta. We changed lives, and our lives were changed. And little Melanie Ramos,
Oh, wait, whoa.
Just saying, it's just so much stuff.
We're going to get to that.
Oh, you know about Melanie?
I did my homework. I did my research.
I got it stepped all up in your, let me go back off. I'll stay on this.
So we're going to get to that, because that story is kind of the opposite end of one of the videos that I'm just going to give you a chance to prepare. It's one of the opposite end of the videos that comes from the Power of We Symposium. Now, let's take a step back. There was one of the words that you used, and it was transformational. When it comes to the people that actually go to the events, when they go in one way, they come out a totally different way. Now, I want you to talk about your journey. How have you transformed ever since the first Power of We to the most recent one that you've had? What are some of the big changes that you've seen in yourself?
The greatest thing I've gained from the Power of We experience is the beauty of trust, of having no prior knowledge, no social proof, but you feel it, you see it, you understand it, and you trust it. P3, my program that's coming out in January. I'm telling you now, I'll sing that song until my dying day. The P3 song, which is, I feel I've gotten there. I really do. And I can't wait to bring many people with me over to what I refer to as the P3 promised land. And that's what patience on, you have purpose over here, you have your passion over here, and here we are in the middle, patient. I realized when I was patient with the Power of We concept, it was like standing in one spot and watching what is greater than me just rip the skies of the universe wide open and like open it up, and I can just sit there and watch it just pour and create like Disney, like when Tinkerbell would fly around the Magic Kingdom when Disney would come on. That's kind of what it feels like, because you see things happen that you could have never planned. You experience and you watch things happen in little corners and nooks of wherever the venue is, happen between adults and kids, kids and kids, adults and adults. You see transformation come through the most unexpected doors at this event. Mm-hmm. And I remember, we do a thing where, when the kids arrive on the buses, I purposely pick venues that have wrought iron gates around them. Opulent places, because all these kids most of them, 99% of them, have never been to a place like the Stan Mansion. A lot of them believe that these types of venues are not accessible to them. They have dreams of it, but they just wouldn't have dreamed it would have been that day. So they're out there and they watch us, all of us, the yous, the me's, all of a lot of people that are watching, Christopher, they know how it works at these events, and they watch us walk the red carpet. They watch us stand before the step and repeat, and the paparazzi shooting pictures and everybody's waving and stuff. And then we go out and we come around the side of the building and we walk right up the sidewalk where they're out there looking through the gates. Next, we're standing right beside them, and they're like, and then we start talking to them. And we go, "What do you think you just saw?" And a lot of them are like, "Wow, you guys look like stars. You guys are like celebrities." And we say it looks like that, but when you take away the carpet and the cameras and the clothes and this, we're just older versions of you.
Yeah, and I bet that hits right home going to them. I mean, I know for myself.
They think you're BSing.
Yeah, but
they think you're BSing, but you tell them this. We tell them, listen, all we're asking you is one thing: keep your heart and your mind open. You walk down that red carpet into those doors of this venue. It's okay to walk in as a stargazer. But if you pour yourself into today and allow us to let you pour into us, because we're going to let you, but you got to be willing to pour into us too, because you got something we need.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. If you do that, when you do that, you're not going to leave a stargazer. You're going to leave a trailblazer.
Yeah. And one of the biggest things growing up for me, and I know it was through you that I was able to figure this out, was a lot of people focus on how things are going to happen. Okay, I bet for you, maybe even you, I know you're a little bit further in the spiritual journey, but how am I going to get the money for this? How am I going to find a location? They're focused on how. But when you do that, you kind of discredit what the higher power, what they can do for you. And you really need to focus on at the end, two things. One, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just know that it is going to happen. And number two, just have the confidence within yourself to be able to go through with it. Now, as far as the kids and the children that go to these events, can you explain kind of the difference, or do you see any like big differences of how you grew up versus how they grow up?
No,
right?
No, not at all. I mean, there's of course those geographical things, but no, a kid is a kid. When you go to school, that's your world. Go to school and get bullied, and you go home and you go to school a star one day, and then somebody can start a rumor, and the next day you want to kill yourself. You think you never want to go back to that place again. You know how it is. And so, I think it's one of the blessings I got, because a lot of people in my position that have come through things like a lot of trauma when you're a kid, or the foster system and all that, we feel like at first you think you're cheated out of that childhood that you see on television, the Bradys and, Will Smith and all of them. And you think it's perfect. But really, when you get to be older, which I clearly am, excuse me.
You said it, not me. You said it.
It's true. But you know what? And I'm glad. I'm grateful that I get to see it before I leave this world and understand it. That you feel that how you can have arrested development. Certain things you have to be an adult so soon in your journey that your childhood gets cut off. But you know what? The art of play and the things like a lot of stuff you see behind me in this new set. Are where I'm in a space where I love to let that kid, that imagination, that's why this is called Imagine Studios, because it took me, when I'm around and I'm close proximity of young people, even little kids, that laughter that's in the air, that's moving, you can hear it a few houses away, and you don't have to see the kids, but you can be transported exactly into whatever game they're playing or whatever fun they're having. And I'm constantly reminded out on my deck when I hear that, about how wonderful those brief moments are. And I feel like, with that being stunted, presumably because of the experience I had as a kid, I'm grateful for it, because today I still want it. I still crave it. I didn't transition out of it like, now you go from a kid to an adult, don't play anymore. Quit imagining, quit dreaming. No. It's time to get serious and buckle down. No. I'm grateful. And I let young people know that how much I appreciate their example of wonderful beginnings, beginning of the journey, and it's just a great thing. And to be able to provide an opportunity for all people. That's why it's called The Power of We, because it's like a modern day Stone Soup story. You remember that story?
No, I actually don't.
It's a kid's story about where two travelers come to a village, and they come with a pot, a big kettle, and some rocks and some water. And they go and they put in there, and they're like, "Oh, everybody's coming. What y'all making? We're making stone soup." How you gonna make a soup with just those stones? They go, "Don't worry, it's gonna be the best soup you ever had." But you know what? It would be a little bit if only we had one carrot. Well, and they were all stingy people, didn't want to share with each other or anything. So I got a carrot. It wouldn't kill me to give you a carrot. Would it really make it better? I never had stone soup. Would you give me some if I give you a carrot? Sure. Next thing you know, it'd be better if we had an onion. If only we had some chicken. And before you know it, everyone in the village has brought something and poured it into that pot, and the entire village feasted. Whereas alone, they were starving. Right.
Yeah, that's it. No, I've actually never heard of that story, and I'm glad to be able to share it.
Yeah.
Now, the question before I asked you was about differences, right? Now, I think a lot of people have a lot of similar stories where we kind of focus on the things that we can't control. And I remember one of your speeches, it was actually on your website. Control was actually a topic that you talked about in front of the crowd. Now, people that didn't see that clip, if there's somebody that's having trouble facing things that they can't control, what are some pieces of advice that you can give to somebody to help them cope with things that they can't control?
First of all, acknowledge it, because it's a process of elimination. When you are willing to accept the things you don't have control over, once you've seen those, the only thing left are the things you do have control over, because you find that in choosing. When you choose to say, I didn't get to control who my parents were. I didn't get to control the house that I was brought home from the hospital to. I wasn't able to control, when the food was purchased or the rent was paid. I was a kid. But I had control over my temper. I had control over how I studied. I had control within my peer groups somewhat. I had control over my pets. I had control over my imagination in my room when I was under the blankets with my flashlight in a great Hardy Boys mystery. And of course, some of us, our journeys lend themselves to those places where everything goes out of control, and we're left with only our dreams. And that was what happened to me. And I know a lot of people say, I'd never trade places with you. And I know you wouldn't. And I probably wouldn't trade places with you either.
They probably couldn't handle it.
And I probably couldn't handle theirs. We all have our own crosses to bear. But the thing that is the same between all of us is opportunity. Opportunity for legacy, opportunity for enlightenment, opportunity to grow and ascend. Because that is what our soul came here for. Is to grow. So,
Now, do you believe that everybody's soul? I was having a discussion with this person. They're probably watching right now. And I didn't really know how to put it into words, everything that I knew to be true. Now, as far as the soul, this is going to be kind of like a philosophical question. We're going to be changing a little bit of gears about this right now.
Okay.
Do you believe that everybody is innately good and that their soul is filled with all things that are, sweet, positive, awesome? Or do you think that, we all have kind of like this bad spot in us, and with our experiences and our circumstances, we kind of, it brings it out more and more and it starts to grow and grow, and people just kind of choose that route?
Well, that's a great question. And I'm gonna tell you something. I've been some places where there are all kinds of people. When you're talking about people that are incarcerated, you're in there with people that, have taken multiple lives in some cases, in ways that you could never fathom. But then you don't find that out until after you've had a talk with them and they say something that you've never heard quite that way. And it's usually from a place of remorse or regret for them because they didn't know it until they didn't have it anymore. And they tell you these things and you see that, it's hard because, sometimes you think, we like to believe that every person has good and whatever else, but always some good somewhere in there. But, in order for good to be able to be seen and absorbed by us, it has to be something that matters to the person you're looking for it within.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I believe there are people in the world that, for whatever reason, their pains, the wounds go too deep. I don't. It's hard to put a word to it, but I say with the infection that is within their spirit that just has them not wanting what the rest of us or most of us do, and that is healing and understanding and compassion and all those wonderful things. But I believe there are people that are that wounded or mentally challenged with things, and it's just, there's all kinds of variations. But again, I believe that nothing is about just one thing.
Oh yeah.
So if a person does appear that I can't find one iota of anything good in them, it may come from the experience. Sometimes, like I say in the masterclass, sometimes we find ourselves in close proximity with people that we really don't understand why, but we're there for an example of what not to become.
Oh yeah.
That's needed in the master plan, just like everything else.
Yeah.
Balance. So
I agree with that. That's one of the reasons why I'm super, super appreciative that I grew up in one of the hardest places in the country to grow up in, is because you kind of see the end result of people that don't make the decisions that they want to make or that they should make. And you can see what the end result is. And it teaches you how to be strong when you grow up, and in the hood. I'm gonna tell you straight up.
Oh, yeah.
And I know a lot of people that as soon as they have some type of hardship in their life, they don't know how to deal with it. So some people resort to drugs, some people resort to alcohol, and it's not really the way to go. You should there's a healthier way to deal with certain lifestyles and certain choices that happen. So right now we're going to take a quick commercial break, and please you guys do not want to miss this. There's two stories that, from what I know, really, really stick out. And like I said, you better grab your tissue box because we're about to go on a little bit of a roller coaster of emotion when it comes to the Power of We Symposium. And please don't go anywhere. Share this. If you're watching this right now, thank you so much for being here again and leaving a comment for the hashtag Positivity Posse. But don't go anywhere. I'm telling you guys, you don't want to miss this. So we'll be right back after these commercial breaks. Let's go.
I received this insight about a title called Prisoner of War. The book.
Welcome back, everybody. That was just a quick word from our sponsors, and I wanted to tell you two things before Loren comes back on the show to explain these stories that are really, really touching. When I first heard them, it was kind of hard not to be emotional about them. But here's the two things that I want to tell you. I remember I was telling you guys that season 3 is coming out shortly, and when I mean shortly, we have I have huge plans for the show. So it's going to be worth the wait. I promise you guys. It's probably going to come out at the start of next year of 2022. So I wanted to let you guys know about that, the Positivity Posse. And number 2, for the commercials that you just saw, Loren actually makes them himself. So if you needed any commercials, or if you need anybody, if you know of anybody that wants any commercials, please reach out to Loren. Here's one of the things right now is the Power of We Symposium. Probably reach him that way, but he'll come on and he'll explain everything about reaching out to him as far as the commercials. Yo, let me tell you, season 3, it's about to be some heat. Y'all better be ready for it. So let's bring Loren out right now.
Hey.
So Loren, man, here we go. This is one of the most important things to me as far as the story of the Power of We Symposium. I'm going to share my screen right now. Okay. I want you, after this clip, to explain how this helps and how this really entails the entire story of the Power of We Symposium. So here we go, everybody. Take a listen.
To our newsroom a few minutes ago, the 18-year-old girl who was shot last week during a drive-by outside of Calumet City Mall has died. Her name is Kristen Ross. She and a 17-year-old boy were shot in the Macy's parking lot at the River Oaks Shopping Center on Thursday night. Calumet City police say they were targeted. So far, no one has been arrested in that case.
So I'm going to stop sharing the screen if this wants to work. All right. Now, Loren, I know that is it's one of the not the most positive stories that has happened from the Power of We, but would you explain how that ties into everything that you do?
Why it's on the website?
That's so, yeah.
It's on the website because it's really for me, so that I never forget, which I couldn't anyway. But, the very first Power of We, when something purposeful happens, it always happens in the way that you will remember it, just like that, on purpose. And with all the wonderful things that happened, the very first hard-hit area that I went to was one of the top 2 ones that the news speaks to all the time. Shootings and this, that, and the other in Chicago, and a lot of meetings in that town to recruit the kids to come to the very first Power Week because we had no social proof. So anyway, we had it all set up, and there was like 40 some kids that were supposed to come from this particular community, and everything was set up, and then lost their bus contract like a week before the event. And Jason Cisneros, who was on my show this morning, put a plea out, and in just a few hours, we raised about $5,000, which was enough to cover luxury buses to bring these kids to the Stan Mansion from where they were. And they had the permission slips signed, and they had a central meeting place in town, a barbershop. And they got there, but the adults dropped the ball, and there were not enough chaperones. There were a couple, but there weren't enough chaperones, which we needed for liability purposes for them to attend. And so they couldn't say, well, let's just bring this many, because who you pick that gets to go with these 2 people when they needed 6 for the amount of kids they had. Only 2 showed up. So none of those kids got to come. And the ones that you heard, which that report, that's reminiscent of everything that I'm talking about in the community. The way they reported at Calumet City, those kids they were already out of school. They already had permission slips. They did what kids did. And they went to a mall in another city because they didn't want to run into their aunties or the woman down the street or somebody from school. They'd be like, hey, why aren't you in school? You see, so they went to another town like kids. Everybody did that. They were seniors. And they weren't targeted like you heard in there. They didn't even live in that town. It was random. They never found the people. That was true. But, all day long when I would go in the back where we had pulled those empty chairs off the floor, because, for recording purposes and things, we didn't want 2 rows of empty chairs. So they're stacked back in the staging area where the caterers were set up. Hi, Nancy. And every time I went back there to check on the food and stuff, first thing I'd do is look to the left. I still do it. I've had 2 events there since. And even though those chairs weren't stacked over in that corner to the left, every time I go back there, I still look over to those chairs because I remember all day long the nagging feeling of, I wonder where those 40 kids are. Because I felt responsible. I'm the one who got them out of school. And so, what it did was, it solidified forever within me the importance of understanding why we have the issues that we have in the first place. Mm-hmm. That just because, I don't know, it's like, what good would it do to be angry at the adults who dropped the ball? Because I don't know who their particular names were, this and the other, just going to pass the buck. But what I am supposed to remember is that, who knows? Those were 2 kids, unfortunately. But maybe if we hadn't had the power we that day, it might have been 8 kids eventually.
Yeah.
10 kids eventually.
Yeah.
But what it does now is when we went to Atlanta, I made sure there was a butt inside every seat. So I wouldn't have to worry about the same thing happening again. And so it helped me create some things, put some things in place to assure that this sort of thing, no matter what, don't leave it all in their hands. Mm-hmm. Have vans ready or something. If somebody at the last minute, and it happened in Atlanta, they had 2 buses and one bus broke down on the way there. And we had to hold the event for about an hour. So the new bus could go pick up those kids and bring them to the thing. We weren't willing to start. And that was because of what happened in Chicago. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
They don't miss one word, not one syllable. So.
And I think that's kind of the theme for today. So for anybody watching, if you're having, maybe trouble trying to control things you can't control, you know what I mean? Just, you got to focus on what you can control, because you'll drive yourself crazy, Loren. You just said it right there. I don't even know.
Here's what you can control. You can control your belief and understanding of the 4 agreements.
Oh.
Be impeccable with your word. Do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Don't take anything personally. It wasn't my fault. Don't make assumptions. They just didn't care. And always, always, always do your best. Because the moment you do your best, what is greater than will take care of all the rest. Everything you do when you mean it, it instantly becomes meaningful somewhere else in the universe.
Yeah. And let me tell you, when I was in the shower today, I actually thought about the 4 agreements, and I knew that was going to come up today, and I was just waiting for it. So there it is.
Of course. And the 5th too.
And the 5th. I was just about to say that. So everybody, that story, I mean, when I heard it, it moved me. So, I mean, you guys really need to get your ticket to the Power of We Symposium 2022, April 28th at the Stand Mansion. Now, you gotta tell us the other story with Melanie Ramos. You gotta let us know.
Melanie Ramos. I wish you had a picture ready for her. Melanie Ramos was an 8th grader in Atlanta at Summer Hour Middle School. And when we went down there, you always want to take great to greater, bright to brighter, strong to stronger. And so we wanted to up the game. And so when we went down there, instead of just bringing the mentoring program, which we did in Chicago, we also incorporated an incentive program inside of all the schools that came. And one of them was an essay contest entitled "How I Plan to Change the World." And the teachers, the language arts teachers, the English teachers and whatnot, they kind of they gave the assignment to all their students, and then they read them all and passed them around and chose the top 10. And then they submitted those to the Power of We team, and we sent them out to various people around the country, and they chose the winners. And Melanie Ramos was the one that people chose, and her idea was she wanted to patent a software package that would help keep kids safe from predators. So it would be a fake site, a kid-friendly site, which was fake, with agents inside pretending to be the children. But the thing that was so intriguing about her idea was that she was taking what we do with our phones, the thumbprint or the facial recognition, and the retinal scan, according to her data, which was proven true, it's out there, is 99.999% accurate in detecting the true age of a person.
And she's in 8th grade?
Excuse me?
And she's in 8th grade?
She's in 8th grade. So she said, I want a site where when they're building their profile, one of the final thing is to submit to a retinal scan. And we will let them in. So if it's so-and-so who's 65 years old pretending to be Jimmy, who's 7, we'll let him in because he's in there with agents anyway, not real children, while we track where he's at. And then they'll go and get him. And it just so happened that I was on the air promoting the event the day before on a radio station there in Atlanta. And a guy who was coming on to speak about something totally unrelated was in the lobby, and you can hear it coming, what's going on in the booth, you can hear in the lobby of the radio station. So he heard my interview, and when I came out, it was his turn to go in. He gave me his card, and he goes, I would love to come to your event tomorrow. Is that young lady going to be there? And I said, yeah. He goes, I want to come. Little did I know at the time, the reason he was so moved was that he actually had a missing niece at the time who had been trafficked and was missing, 7-year-old.
Was she around? Oh, you answered my question. I was going to say, was she around the same age?
She was 7. There was a 7-year-old missing. And so it really struck a chord with him. So he's a venture capitalist. So he asked if he could come and bring one of his business partners to the Power of We the next day and listen to Melanie's speech. She was going to read it, her essay, and talk with her. And so long story short, they did. They met a few weeks later with her parents and the school officials. Long story short, she was funded, I think somewhere around $700,000 through Georgia Tech University, and given access to 3 or 4 scientists to help make that dream a reality. And that's from an 8th grader thinking she was just getting some extra credit for writing an essay on how she planned to change the world. And here, lo and behold, she's most likely created something that will change the legacy of her family generational tree for decades and generations to come.
Wow. And to think, if you weren't doing that interview from the Power of We, who knows if that would
Again, I didn't have control over who was listening,
Mm-hmm.
but I had control over getting there to give them something to listen to. I didn't have control over what came out of Melanie Ramos's mind and heart, but I had control over providing an opportunity for her to reach deep inside her mind and heart. And so you see, sometimes when we choose these things, we don't have an outcome in mind. We can't say, well, I'm going to do this because I know there's going to be a kid who's going to write an essay and somebody's going to hear it on the radio and she's going to get all this money. And no. You just think, I think back, to be honest with you, I think back to how when I won a contest in 6th grade, my favorite president and his accomplishments, and how when I wrote that essay, 250 words, I didn't know that it was going to win, and it was going to be under this glass dome at the University of Notre Dame for 6 weeks.
Wow.
They put it on display. Yeah, wide open, just spread out where people could come up and look over in the little bubble and read it. Had my picture there. And it was that moment that took me to the moment where the idea met me that became Melanie Ramos's
Tell us
legacy.
more about that feeling. What were you feeling at the time? Like a sense of connection, or hey, this stuff really works. Everything that you talk
No,
about.
I felt it was like this. Let me tell you something. See, the thing about it is that moment with the 6th grade thing, I was already in foster care. And in that day when I wrote that, and all those weeks that it was at University of Notre Dame, I was probably in 2 or 3 different homes from the time it got there and from the time they took it from the university. I may have moved that many times. But the thing about it was, even though, and I never did get that, wherever I was when it ended, I didn't get that essay back. I remember that. But the thing about it was, I didn't need the actual essay because I had the memory of what the essay stood for in my journey. And I didn't know the full ramifications of it until Melanie Ramos. That's why and I hate to keep going back to it, but I don't hate to keep going back to it because it's the truth. That's how I got to P3. Because patience, how would I have known that an experience when I was in 6th grade would rise and come back and whisper to my spirit at 57 years old in order to help create change and opportunity for Melanie Ramos all those years and miles away from that moment? No way.
You couldn't. There's no way.
You cannot.
There's no way. And I think that's kind of the perfect segue.
But wait, before last piece, this is important.
Oh, wait, there's more.
I would have never remembered myself to that 6th grade moment, because in order to remember myself to that positive one, I had to remember myself to in front of and move them out of the way to get up closer, to move that tragedy out of the way to get up closer, to move that sexual abuser out of the way to get up closer to that moment in 6th grade. I had to go through everything that happened in 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, all the way through a 14-year addiction. I had to go back through all of those versions of myself to go back and find the me in 6th grade that was proud of my favorite president and his accomplishments, Abraham Lincoln. So what I'm saying in that is, in order to get to the sweet peach, because we were in Georgia, the sweet peach that was sitting there waiting, I had to be willing to go through a lot of lemons, to go back, to remember myself to that moment. So see, the thing is, it can't always be about me.
Mm-hmm.
I thought when I was healing through and back in reconnecting and remembering through all those things, because nothing happens for just one reason, and nothing happens just for me to be pained and betrayed and hurt. Because you know what? Everything that ever hurt me, everything that ever pained me, everything that ever betrayed me, every one of those things led me straight to Melanie Ramos.
Yep. And
every single one of them.
And you can tell when you're talking like this. I've never seen you talk like this. Actually, this is a first. So you guys really need to hear what he's talking about and write it down. Loren, you are the man. Let me tell you that first and foremost. And thank you for sharing that with us. I actually don't think I've ever heard of the story about you in the 6th grade and you winning that essay.
I've never told that.
You've never told it?
Mm-mm.
Well, there you go.
No.
Always. It always happens. Always happens. And thank you for being so transparent and so open. The positivity posse appreciates that, man. You don't even know. So you don't know. Seriously, you don't even know how much I appreciate it. But let's stick on the topic right here.
Okay.
P3. What is P3? Why should anybody care about P3? Please fill us in on it.
That's a great way of putting it. Maybe they shouldn't care about P3 because they don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But if they care about that innate pull, that thing you feel inside you, where without a shadow of a doubt, I say it in the promo, 1,000%, without any proof, that there's something special that has your name on it in this universe. P3, I'm going to be honest with you. When P3 came through me and it all came together, because I've always said, even I remember when we launched the Next Impactor, in the promo, it says, now is the time. Christopher, if you're still here, you'll remember. Now is the time where you bring everything you've ever been. Now is the time you bring everything you are today. And now is the time you bring everything you could ever hope to be, all to the same place. This is where it all comes together, and this is where it all begins to make sense. And P3 is that formula that I know because it worked with me and still does. I have been able to bring it to people in the wellness industry and transform their lives, and also here, in this world, with the coaching. And I know it now, and I've seen enough of you all take these pieces and make them work. So it's like, let's get it to market. Let's get it to everybody, because I'm telling you, it works. It works.
It does.
It's real.
I'll vouch for it.
It's real. And you want people, you have your passion. You know what it is, that it's right on the other side of breathing. Every day, this thing you must do is right on the other side of breathing. So you have your passion. It's there on purpose. And everything you do, if you mean it, it becomes automatically meaningful somewhere in the universe. So that means it happens on purpose. You use it with purpose. Everything that you go through, don't get over it, don't get under it, don't get around it. That's wall talk. That's what you do to a wall. Climb over it, skirt around it, or dig under it. But have you ever heard of a wall of opportunity? I haven't. I have heard, however, of windows and doors of opportunity. Because if you look into it, then you can find the courage to go into it, through it, out the back door. And now you're an authority. Now you have purpose. And you use that authority with purpose. It is not enough to set intentions. That's the equivalent of pulling the bow back in the arrow back in the bow. And when they say the road to hell is filled with good intentions, that's people that pull the arrow back and never let it go. You can't just set an intention. You have to set the intention, and then you have to send the intention. On purpose, not knowing where it's going to land. But you know that wherever it lands, it will hit its mark, and it will bring something there that was not there. It will take great to greater, bright to brighter, nice to nicer, strong to stronger, because that's what the truth does. And good will always give you more opportunity to create more good. But it can't happen if you just stand here. The road to hell of good intentions are all the bodies of people with it cocked back, and they never sent it. They kept it to themselves.
And is this all this stuff that's going to be in the pre-3? We can't
On the free preview, 90 minutes. I'm telling you, we had one already. That was the warm-up. That was the focus group. But this one is going to have hundreds of people there. And I believe that there are going to be people that walk away from P3, and their names will be in the history books of life for thousands of years.
What? That's what I'm talking about right there.
I'm telling you what I know. Right. And you know what? I don't even care if it's mine. I don't even care if it's my name. I just know that there are people out there who are the Mother Teresas, the Martin Luther Kings, the John F. Kennedys of the next 5,000 years, at least. And they're going to come from the most obscure places.
Yep.
The ones that people thought were forgotten. Thank you, Sherry.
Here's about
there, yes. And it was amazing because of people like Sherry. Of all the people, there were 8 people in that first one. We had 8. And they said, well, we'll probably get 4 that'll come out of the 8. All 8 came. All 8 stayed the whole time. And 2 of them have re-upped to come back for the second one again.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm saying,
if you guys want more information about that P3, please reach out to Loren. Loren,
go to my website, LorenMichaels-Harris.com, and click the blue button and reserve your seat. It is coming up on the 13th of the month, the 13th of November, and it's going to be, I'll just say this, it is going to be an anointed time. It is going to be an anointed time.
That's what I'm talking about. So usually we always end the show with, Loren, if there's something that somebody's in their deepest, darkest time, what advice would you give them? Is there anything in the next minute, because we only have 1 minute left, that you can, whatever speaks to you right now, share with us?
I'm going to just say this, wherever you're at, whatever's going on, celebrate it. It is where you are supposed to be. You are there on purpose. So move through every moment. Listen, if you want to get from point A to point B, know this. Point A is where you're at right now. Point B is the next moment right after. So right now you're already at where point B is, because point A is where you're at and point B is everything beyond where you're at. If you get to a point you don't know what to do, how to get there, how it's going to work, 4 little words: thy will be done. Say them out loud and mean it, and watch what happens.
Boom. Mic drop.
There it is.
Mic drop. Loren, thank you so much for today. I'm actually, if you guys didn't already know, I'm going to be at the Power of We Symposium event on April 28, 2022 at the stand. So I hope,
You're going to be emceeing.
Yeah, I'm going to be emceeing. So there's the news for that. I didn't want to
but was that a secret? You told me.
It's all good now. So yeah, I'm going to be speaking. So I hope to see you guys there. Seriously, I mean, through all the ups and downs that you may be going through, go to this event. I mean, you're going to learn so much about yourself. You're going to learn so much about the community. You're going to learn so much about the speakers.
Misfit Nation in the house. It's going to be great.
That's what
I'm telling you. We meet on Thursdays, so people like to stay the whole weekend. We're here at the house. We're at the hotels. We're just having a great time. The Stand Mansion is ours from 6 in the morning till 1 in the morning. Y'all, come on now. Come on.
Let's
right?
do it. Let's go. Let's go. So thank you guys for being here for today. Loren, thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Dano.
No problem. Come back next week, guys, for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. We have another great speaker coming on with some great fire content that you can't find nowhere else. You can only find it here on Weekly Dose. So remember to share it. And I hope you guys have a great, fantastic weekend. I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Weekly Dose of Dano TV. Let's go!
Let's go!